Hello all. Today we'll be discussing about simulations, which is the last part of your module 5. As you have seen earlier in this module about queuing system meets certain set of assumptions and can be described in terms of queue length, waiting time, and so on. However, despite the fact that mathematical modeling can and does help to analyze a wide variety of problems, there are many situations which are too complex to be handled this way. For instance, a given queuing situation may not meet all the assumptions of any of the queuing models and therefore not lend itself to modeling. In these circumstances, it is often possible to simulate the given system and study its behavior. Not only this, simulations may also be employed to estimate the impact of system changes when experimentation with the real system may not be feasible. To simulate is to imitate. In general terms, simulation involves developing a model of some real phenomenon and then performing experiments on the model evolved. Simulation is a descriptive and not an optimizing technique. In simulation, a given system is copied and the variables and constants associated with it are manipulated in that artificial environment to examine the behavior of the system. To illustrate, for aerodynamic testing, scaled down models of aeroplanes are built and placed in the wind tunnels. Using a wind tunnel, air is blown to examine the aerodynamic properties of the model. Using simulations, an analyst can introduce the constants and variables related to the problem, set up the possible courses of action, and establish criteria which acts as a measure of effectiveness. The benefit of simulation from the viewpoint of a analyst stems from the fact that the result of taking a particular course of action can be estimated prior to its implementation in the real world. Instead of using hunches and intuition to determine what may happen, the analyst using simulation can test and evaluate various alternatives and select the ones that give best results. Now, coming to the process of simulation. Broadly, there are 4 phases of the simulation process, and they are: number 1, definition of the problem and statement of objectives. Number 2, construction of an appropriate model. Number 3, experimentation with the model constructed. And the last, evaluation of the results of simulation. Each of these phases calls for the performance of a number of preliminary tasks. Of these, the 2 major tasks are collection of data and selection of means by which the simulation activity would replicate the random behavior of the real world. The first step in problem solving of any situation is to identify and clearly define the problem and the list of objectives that the solution is intended to achieve. This is true of simulation as well. A clear statement not only facilitates the development of an appropriate model, but also provides a basis for evaluation of the simulation results. In general, simulation aims to determine how the system under consideration would behave under certain conditions. Naturally, the more specific the analyst is about what he is looking for, the greater the chances that simulation model will be designed to accomplish that. The next step in simulation is the development of a suitable model. During the course of simulation, the model mimics the important elements of what is being simulated. A simulation model may be physical or a mathematical model, a mental conception, or a combination. Many simulation involve physical models, and examples include scaled down model of the aeroplane, which we discussed earlier, or a ship constructed out of wood or other materials. Since physical models are relatively expensive to build, mathematical models are often preferred. In such a model, mathematical symbols or equations are used to represent the relationship in the system. Collection of data is a significant aspect of model development, and the quantum and type of data needed are directly governed by the scope and extent of details of the simulation. The data are needed both for model development and evaluation. Obviously, the model for simulation must be so designed that it would enable evaluation of key decision alternatives. An ancillary step here is of designing experiments. The experiments helps to answer the what if type of questions in simulation studies. Once the simulation model is developed, the next step is to run it. If the model is deterministic with all its parameters known and constant, then only a single run would be suffice. On the other hand, if the simulation is probabilistic in nature, with the parameters subject to random variation, then a number of runs would be needed to get a clear picture of the model performance. The probabilistic simulations is similar to random sampling, where each run represents one observation. The statistical theory can be used to determine the optimal sample sizes. Evidently, the greater the variability inherent in the simulation results, the large would be the simulation runs needed to obtain reasonable degree of confidence that the results are truly indicative of system behavior. The last step in the process of simulation is to analyze and interpret the results of the runs. The interpretation of result is in a large measure dependent on the extent to which simulation model portrays the reality. Obviously, closer the approximation of the real system by the simulation model, lesser will be the need for adjusting the results, and also lesser will be the risk inherent in applying the results. Now we'll be discussing about Monte Carlo method of simulation. Now Monte Carlo method is a numerical technique that involves modeling a system with the objective of predicting the system behavior. In using Monte Carlo method, a given problem is solved by simulating the original data with random number generators. Basically, it requires two things. Number one, a model that represents the reality of the situation. And number two, mechanism to simulate the model. Now, applications of Monte Carlo or MC simulations they are widely used in a diverse range of problems such as inventory problem, risk analysis concerning major capital investments, etc. Now, let's take an example of a problem to understand these concepts better. Okay, a tourist car operator finds that during the past 100 days, the demand for car has been varied as shown below. So in the past 100 days, the data about how many trips the car has made is shown to us. Okay, so there has been 0 trips for 8 days. There has been 1 trip for 12 days. And there has been 2 trips in 15 days. For 30 days, there were 3 trips. For 20 days, there were 4 trips. And for 15 days, there were 5 trips. Okay. So we are also given the random numbers to simulate the demand for a 10-week period, and the random numbers are 9, 54, 42, 1, 80, 6, 26, 57, 79, and 52. Now what we have to do is, in the problem they have given us a past data about how the tour operator has found the season. On the last 100 days, what has been the demand for the vehicle. And what we are asked to do is we have to simulate that for the next 10 weeks, what would be the demand likely to be, assuming that we take certain random numbers, and these numbers are taken very randomly, okay? So we have to simulate the demand as to how it will be. So these are all probabilistic. So based on this particular condition, if this is the random numbers, what will be the demand that is going to be in the next 10 weeks? Okay. So let's start from the question itself. So the number of trips, okay. So the first column, what we see is the trips. So we have 0 trips, 1 trip, 2 trip, 3 trip, 4 trip, or 5 trips during the day. Okay. And next column is about probability. So the probability that you have no trips or 0 trips during the day is 8 out of 100 days. So the probability is 0.08. So 8 divided by 100. So out of 100 days, 8 days there were absolutely no trips. So the probability that you will have no trips is 8 divided by 100, that is 0.08. Now the probability that there will be 1 trip, it is given by 12 divided by 100, and it is 0.12. Similarly, 2 trip is 15 by 100, 0.15. 3 trip, 30 by 100, 0.30. 4 trips, 20 divided by 100, it's 0.2. 5 trips, 15 divided by 100, 0.15. Now, if you add up all these probabilities, okay, that gives us 1. Okay. Now, the cumulative probability, the third column is we add up for each of the probabilities till it becomes 1. Okay. So 0 trip, we have probability as 0.08. So we start with the cumulative probability of 0.08. For 1 trip per day, the cumulative probability is 0.08 plus 0.12, which is 0.20. For 2 trips, the cumulative probability will be the recently obtained cumulative probability, which is 0.20, plus the probability for 2 trips is 0.15. So the total cumulative probability till 2 trips will become 0.35. Similarly, for 3, 4, and 5, you need to go on adding, and at the end of the 5th trip, you will get the sum as 1. Now the next one is, we're trying to assign the random number interval. Now, the random interval intervals is taken in such a way that, see, we have 100 days, okay? So for 0, we have a probability of 0.08, or roughly said 8 days out of 100 days, we don't have any trip. So we need to assign a value starting from 0 for 8 days. So it goes like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that makes it for 8 days, or up to 8. That's what I have written, up to 8. The random number interval will be between 0 and 7. For the next one, that is for trip 1, okay, you assign random numbers from the next number onwards. So 8 onwards till 19. That gives us a total window of cumulative probability of 20. Okay, so for 20 till it becomes 20, we have to add. Okay, so that is 12 we have to add. Okay, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So when we add 12 days or 12 probability, that is the random numbers that we are assigning. Similarly, for trip 2, we start with 20. Okay, so 20 plus for the 15 days. So 20, we start from 20 till 34. Okay, so that accounts for the 35 probability, or till the 30 till the cumulative probability of 0.35. Okay, the next we add to the random interval. We start from 35, we add another 30, so it goes up till 64, so that is up to 65 of the cumulative probability. Okay, you need not have to write the bracket thing. Okay, that is for the understanding. Okay, what happens is sometimes you tend to instead, there are 8 days. Okay, so what will happen is when you start from 0, you will go directly to 8. You should not go till 8. You should stop at 7, because you're including 0 also. So the greater you extend, okay, the one simplest way about finding the random number intervals is look at your cumulative probability. So starting with the first cumulative probability, so we have 8. Okay, so we have to start from 0 to 7. The next one is 20, so we start from 8 till 19. The next one is 35, so we start from 20, we stop one step less, so 34. The next one is 65, so we start at the previous random number, we have stopped at 34, we start at 35, and the cumulative probability ends at 65, so we stop at 64. Okay, the next one is for trip 4, we start with the random number 65, we stop at 84. And the last one is we start with 85 and we stop with 99, so that we have assigned for each day. Okay, so whatever the days, the random variables that are given in the question. Okay, the second part of the question, what it is given is the random number of variables. So for each day we have assigned whether it falls between on which category of trips does it fall into. Okay, so if you're given a random number between 0 and 7, it falls into trip 0. Okay, so there has been no trips that has been conducted. If you get a random number between 8 and 19, you will be committing one trip. Okay, if you take a random number between 20 and 34, you will be committing 2 trips. If you take a random number between 35 and 64, you will be committing 3 trips. If you take a number between 65 and 84, you will be committing 4 trips. And the last, if you're taking any number between 85 and 99, you will be making 5 trips. Okay, so that is how we go ahead with. So basically simulation is we're trying to model how the outcomes would turn out to be, okay, based on the different probabilities, or the different way that the probabilities can be chosen. Okay, so for the next 10 weeks, we put it as 1, 2, 3, 4 up till 10, and the number of random variables for each of the 10 weeks is given. So the first random number that is given to us was number 9. So if you look back to our previous table, okay, so if you're getting a random number between 8 and 19, 9 falls between 8 and 19, you will be making 1 trip. So the demand or the number of trips is written as 1. Similarly, for week 2, the random number is 54. So if you look back to the previous table, 54 lies between 35 and 64, and that corresponds to 3 trips. Okay, so there will be 3 trips. Similarly, for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, based on the random numbers, look back at the interval where this random number would fall, and corresponding to that number, the trips is given. So the demand or the next 10 week or the next week will come from the previous data. So based on the random numbers, we have calculated for the 10 weeks as how many trips would be there. So the total demand of trips for the next 10 weeks will be 23. That is the sum of all the demands. Okay, that gives you 23. Now you'll be asked to find the average demand. So average demand is the number of trips per week. So average is you arrive at the average. You arrive at the average by dividing the total number of trips that you may get in the next 10 weeks, that is 23, divided by 10. So approximately you'll be getting 2.3 trips per week for the car in the next 10 weeks. So this is the solution. Okay, this, as I mentioned earlier, we are trying to describe And this is not an optimization. We'll describe on different solutions that we may get based on the random number chosen. And based on that, this is the trip that we will be getting in the next 10 weeks. Okay. Now let's look at another similar exam style problem. The unemployed people were found to arrive at an employment office. There was one clerk assigned to approve the unemployment allowance. The inter-arrival rate of applicant and service time distribution of clerks are given in the following chart. At the first look, you may mistake it for a queuing theory, but this is not queuing theory. This is a simulation problem. Okay, so read through the question fully. Okay, so you will be given a question in this format. The inter-arrival time in minutes will be given. So if there are two, so there's a probability of 0.1 for the inter-arrival minutes of 2 minutes. For an inter-arrival minute of 3 minutes, there's a 25% probability. For an inter-arrival time of 4 minutes, there is 40%. For inter-arrival of 5, there is 10%. 6 is another 10%. 7 is 5%. Now the service time, the service required to be given, if the service time is 2 minutes, there's a probability of 30%. If the service time being 3 minutes, there's a probability of 45%. The service time being 4 minutes, there's a probability of 15%. And the service time being 5 minutes, there's a probability of 10 minutes. Okay. Now using simulation technique, determine the average waiting time in the system and the average queue length. And you will be also given random numbers. Okay. Now here there are 20 random numbers given, and you are asked to take the first 10 random numbers for the arrival and the next 10 random numbers for service computations. Okay. So the first 10 numbers will be from 20 till 32. Okay. We will be using from 20 to 32 for our arrival time computations, and from 3 to 98 we will be using for service time computation. Now what are this arrival and service time computation that I'm talking about? Okay, the arrival pattern. So we have the inter-arrival times given to us as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the corresponding probability is already given. We don't have to calculate the probability as in the last problem. The probability is already given to us. Okay, what we have to do is we have to find the cumulative probability and the random number interval. So for the first one, the inter-arrival time being 2, the probability is 0.1, okay, which is 10%. So the cumulative probability stands as 0.1. Now the inter-arrival time being 3, the probability is 0.25. So 0.1 plus 0.25 is 0.35. Now the fourth one is 0.4 is the probability. So 0.35 plus 0.4 is 0.75. For the inter-arrival time of 5 minutes, it is 0.10. So 0.75 plus 0.1 is 0.85. For inter-arrival of 6 minutes, it is again 0.1. So 0.85 plus 0.1 is 0.95. And the seventh is 0.95 plus 0.05 gives you 1. So the total or the cumulative probability should add up to 1. That is one check that you should ensure. Okay. Now assigning random number interval. So if you look at the inter-arrival time of 2, you have 10 is the cumulative probability. So when it is 10, that is 10%. So you will assign numbers from 0 to 9. So that includes 10 numbers: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So from 0 to 9 will be assigned to inter-arrival time 2 minutes, who has a cumulative probability of 10%. Okay. Now for inter-arrival time of 3, okay, we start from 10, we'll go up till 34. We go 1 less than the total because we started at 0. So it will not come to 35, it will come to 34 because 10 is included in the inter-arrival time of 3 minutes. Okay. Similarly for 4, you'll start from 34. You'll start from 35, you will end at 74. For 5, you will start at 75, you'll stop at 84. For 6, you will start at 85, you will stop at 94.